Hey, what's up? Welcome to Life with Johnny Be Good, episode 10. Today I got Raymond Joseph Alto in the building. We talk a lot about politics, family, growing up, being cousins, orale, and a lot more. So let's go. All right, Raymond Joseph Alto, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Cheers.
So I start each show with a
Salud.
cheers. Salud.
Ándale.
Orale.
Órale.
Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. Basically, what I'm trying to do is just memorialize, people's lives and tell their stories and get it on record so we can all learn from each other and hopefully progress in life together. We've all had different lives. We've all experienced different things, and knowledge is power. And if we can help each other out, it's gonna be awesome. So
knowledge is the potential for power.
Well, ignorance is bliss, right? so thank you for coming. I really do appreciate it. And so we were talking earlier about you and your potential for running for Escondido City Council.
City Council,
so
correct, yeah.
What made you interested in seeking that? Because nobody likes politicians, right? Right, left, middle.
I think a lot of politicians get into it for the right reasons, and then it changes them. So
it eats them alive, right?
My goal would be get in and get out.
No, that's cool though, because with the climate today, that being a politician is, you can never do anything right?
Yeah.
No matter how good you do or whatever, and I think it encompasses not only just politics, but like the whole online social media. Everyone has a voice, which is cool, but then everyone has an opinion, and it could be
opinions.
It could be very
it doesn't get narrowed.
And
sometimes people take other people's opinions. You're like, you just think that way because that guy thinks that way. You didn't come up with your own.
Yeah, and I had this talk. Who did I have here? I think it was Renee. Ramsey, right?
Definitely.
We said the same thing. It's just like, it's difficult because everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Correct.
It's just before we didn't hear, a million opinions every day. We weren't bombarded, but that could make being a politician or somebody in politics or somebody in any, branch of public service, it's very difficult, mentally. So how I guess I asked you, what got you into it? See, something's got to motivate you or be super important for you to go through that.
Absolutely. So, well, first and foremost, it's about the people and how you can communicate and actually help part of the community or different parts of the community and what you can do with it. You know how my political career kind of started on the reservation when I was on tribal council. It was a very short stint, but it got me a lot into, Robert's Rules of Order and how to conduct business and how we operate as government. I think also as getting into politics, one of the things is that you got to do what you say. You got to actually accomplish those goals. Me being a Latino conservative in Escondido,
you're a very minority. You're a double minority.
No, actually double majority because I'm Latino if you put them separately.
Oh, yeah. It's weird, right? Because we still think of Latinos as the minority, but they're in here in Escondido, demographically, they're the majority. But the majority of voters are not.
Yes, correct. And so the thing also is that, I was a former bartender. Now I'm in real estate.
Former?
Well, I could always go back to
that. That sounds like you're refined or you...
I don't want to say ex.
Like you got out of rehab or something.
Former, yeah. It was a long stint and,
What's cool about being a bartender is you can really hone your people skills.
Oh, absolutely.
And
you never want to say things that offend people. And obviously everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I always like to say I'm open. I have an opinion, but I'm also open-minded. So I actually listen. So we have these young business Latino Chicano kids that came in a lot and they're like, why are you a Trumpster? And I said, well, I'm not a Trumpster. And they're like, well, you're conservative and this and that. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, I was a Latino conservative before Trump. And as soon as Trump's gone, I'll still be a Latino conservative. So Trump has value, but he doesn't have value in Escondido. We have our own problems. Our things are homelessness. I'm on the homeless advisory committee. We have gang violence issues. There's a program called Mentors for Change. We have potholes. This is the stuff we care about, things that we need to actually do and figure it out rather than the big things and the bigger government. That's stuff that it's almost untouchable.
Right. Change always starts locally.
Right.
And, it sucks that people paint broad strokes, and label people. And that's what goes on now.
Correct.
So it sucks because then it kind of shines people off instead of actually just listening. It's really ignorant. It's really, it's really childish to not be open to other people's opinions because they could be right, they could be wrong, but they're entitled to it.
And that's what I think about our environment too. Like, we're very proud of being Chicanos, or Latinos, and we love our culture. We want our culture, but we don't hold it to ourselves where we don't invite other races into it or any other demographics. So, you drive a 36 Packard. You know how many wealthy white people drive 36 Packards? And I don't think you've ever met a Mexicano that drives one.
The only other people that there's only like 2 other in the lowrider community that have Packards that are similar to mine. The only ones that were actually at Jalapeno Grill when the Packard Club was, and they were like 80 years old.
They're like, who owns that car? And I'm like, that Mexicano at the bar. Like,
at the bar. I wasn't at the bar. Okay, I was
drinking soda.
But it's and that goes back to like paint people with the broad brush,
right?
And labeling.
Absolutely.
And it's just, you get to know people, and they have certain values, and they're based off of their experiences in life. It's not right or wrong. It's just their
big time.
So part of that in you like running for council. So you were talking about homelessness,
right?
Other local, issues. And I think homelessness is like a big issue here in California. What do you think? Like, what's the cause? What's the what can be done? Because I've seen it before. You would barely see homeless in downtown San Diego a little bit, and it was centralized there. Now you go anywhere, and there's people on the corner or on the median, asking for change. And
so we have so many different elements to homelessness. You can't say paint it with a broad brush. They're not all drug addicts. Mm-hmm. They're not all depressed. There's different elements. When we owned the Jalapeno Grill, we had a homeless issue, and I was wanted to speak with people from the city in economic development, and I met a gentleman named Bill Wolf, and Bill Wolf is actually our deputy city manager right now. I started telling him about our homeless issue that's happening over there on the west side. And he goes, "Oh, I know that was my beat." I go, "That was your beat? So you were a cop?" He goes, "Yeah, because he was a lawyer, then he's a police officer for 15 years, became a lawyer, and then he became deputy city manager. And he has a lot of love for Escondido because he's still here."
Yeah.
And so I go, "Oh, do you know my uncle, my tío, Martin Silva?" And he goes, "Man, that guy was my partner." Oh. So me and Bill have had a great relationship. We talk about a lot of things. The things that he's done or he's helped with the homelessness is fairly impressive. I'll talk about a few things that he's done. Like, a lot of these homeless, they get tickets, whether they're drunk in Publix or this and that. He's taken them to court, and the judges has wiped their records clean. Obviously people that are off their medication, they need to get medicated. So he helps with that. There's a program called COPPS. It's COPS program. And their whole goal is to help homeless and to go focus on. They'll tell them 1 time, 2 times if they need help for, drug rehabilitation, whatever. And you know what? Maybe it takes 15 times, but there's been a lot of help to people.
Yeah. And, I think we see like the ones that are in the street, but there's a lot of people like living in their cars, and parking in their RVs.
See, that's another factor too.
And so, it's a really difficult situation. And because like anything else in life, it's not black or white, there's
there's a gray area,
multiple angles or multiple things going on at once.
Yes.
If you were king of Escondido, what would you do? King George the Third.
Well, I think it's complicated because a lot of people have solutions or come up with solutions. The Palmer Hospital, they wanted it to be a homeless facility. Well, we're not trying to make more homeless. We're trying to deter people from being homeless. Mm-hmm. That's why the cops go up and they bother you when you're laying in the park, because they want to make it hard on you where you go, F this, I'm going to go get a job. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the goal that they've come up with, is that let's try to make people not want to be homeless. But one thing that has helped is there's a lot of churches and organizations that feed the homeless. I did as a young kid. we'd make sack lunches and go hand out Washington Park, Grape Day. And I think that was a good part of my life. Like I learned, like really felt like, wow, 7, 8 years old, giving homeless people food, going, they don't even have anything to eat. Like I eat every day.
Yeah.
What the city managers have done or try to do is deter people from giving the homeless food. And the reason is because we have a place called Interfaith of North County Interfaith. You get 2 meals.
Swap meet, right?
Yeah. 2 meals a day. So he says nobody's going hungry in Escondido. I mean, it's not happening. And a lot of these organizations, they need to give to organizations that are actually trying to help people and not just giving it to make their own selves feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like we all feel good when we give something, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes if it's not doing the right thing, what it should be doing, then, like if you want to go give a guy $10, yeah, but he just got high, or something like that. So, try to deter that. But, everybody you can't make everybody not give because people.
Is there like statistics that you know of, like for Escondido?
There is. Yeah. We actually, they've listed multiple homeless people. They've, in this last year, so I don't know what this COVID thing, but prior, they've gotten about 45, 50 people back with their families. Cause a lot of these homeless people have just been, they've burned every bridge. The family hates them, this and that. We find out a phone number, contact them, maybe in Seattle or Nevada and say, hey, your uncle's here or your nephew or your son. I'm like, oh, we miss them so much, and the city pays for a train ticket to go to that city. So
now how many, cause I heard of this before where a lot of homeless or people similar to that, right? Like live in colder climates. They come to Southern California because of the weather.
That's one of those other elements. Yeah. The people, they're young guys. They've couch surfed every couch they can. And they decide, I'm just going to live outside. Like, it's fine. It's like the climate. You're totally right. It has to do with the climate. Like we live in the greatest, little corner of the world. Yeah. And especially our season. So we have one season.
So like for you running, like what's the not position, but the. So
the council now has districts. So you have to live in a certain district. But I've lived in every part of Escondido my entire life. I mean, our family's been here for generations and generations. We were here before.
Since we came out of their dirt.
Yeah. I mean, we were here when it was Mexico. Think about it, right? We never left.
Yeah.
And it is actually fascinating that there's other families, but there's not very many.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it is fascinating because us having love for our city and didn't go other places and keep a hard core, we have over 1,000 cousins just around, and even though my mom's from Mexico and
your mom's from the same city that my dad's from. Yeah.
I think that's fascinating too, because we're cousins on this side and could be cousins on the other side.
Yeah, no doubt. Cause I looked into that city as Tinguindín.
Tinguindín, yes.
And, the indigenous from that area is the Purupecha. And, it's pretty interesting to look into that and how, back then it's not like how it is now, like how populated it is. So to be in a small city or village or whatever it was, back then, I'm sure there's a relation or
my grandma. So I asked her, her maiden name was Castellanos, and then her maiden name was Hernandez. And I asked her what her grandparents' names were, and she said Pulido. Well, when I was talking to your dad, he said the same thing. She also said, I said, Grandma, why do they call it Tinguindín? She goes, because there's just 3 little houses, Teen, Win, and Dean. And your dad agreed with it. He knew that. It's so funny.
Have you, I Google mapped it.
I saw that, yeah. So there's a fountain there. It's kind of cool. The big church.
Yeah, and then I looked up the hashtag on Instagram too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's great. It's a small little pueblo right there in Mexico. It's cool though.
Yeah,
to know that somewhere down the line on my dad's side, we were right there, probably eating crickets or something, whatever they do, but yeah, it's cool. But here, Escondido, on our other side, my mom's side, we have, the Altos, that have been here a long time with,
and the Atilanos
and it's weird because to think that there's so many people now here in Escondido is like back then everyone knew each other, or it was super like country, you know what I mean? And now like you don't even know who's who. And
I was at a supermarket the other day, and like this guy, I started talking to him, and he said, "Yeah, my family's the oldest family that's in Escondido." I'm like, I don't know, my family's been here for a long time too. Like, what's your last name? And his last name was Montoya, I think it was. Anyways, his grandpa is Peter Atalano.
Oh, okay.
And I go, Atalano? Well, Max Atalano, his sister was married to my great grandfather. Like, so we came from the same family. We ended up meeting new cousins. Kind of cool.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Yeah. You never know who you're gonna run into.
Totally.
They're saying the same thing we're saying.
Yeah, right.
We call them bullshit. We're like, oh, that's bullshit.
I did call bullshit.
But it's a trip, right? Because like I have the photos of your grandpa and Grandpa Marcus, and right here at the house. I never seen it in real life. Yeah. I never seen, but based off of the pictures and what my mom says, it's like right there. And
little tiny house.
And they were taking photos with the roadster, like the little roadster.
That's why they call Grandpa Hot Rod Grandpa Hot Rod.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. So how is your grandpa doing?
He's doing really well. He's
born in what, 29?
28, 29.
How old is he?
Yeah. 90. Well, he's 90 something.
Well, good genes right there, right? You're lucky.
Must be he drinks two Miller Lights. That's it.
2 Miller Lights.
That's it.
That's cool. How's he doing because of the baseball? Padres.
He's a little upset about that. Yeah,
it sucks, man. My girl, she actually put in for us to be the cutouts. So there's a thing with Padres, right? And I'm sure the other ones are doing it. They have cutouts, and you send them photos, and you pay a little. And they put your face on the cup.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
put my face on there
because it's totally weird, right? Like
super weird.
You go to Petco, or you see Petco like completely empty, and like when they're playing ball or whatever, and it's like a little eerie.
I think it has an effect on the players too. I mean, if even UFC fighting, like you don't have people cheering you on or yelling or screaming.
Yeah.
It's got to change the sport dynamic.
I say too, they're a little less stressed because they don't have their wife right there and their girlfriends over there,
right?
In different sections.
That's funny. Yeah. Good point.
But it's weird because when COVID first happened and we were all locked down,
right?
The freeways were clear. I was still working. Like I never stopped working. So the freeways, there was no traffic. It was odd.
Eerie.
It reminded me of like Walking Dead or some other zombie thing. And everyone was in a panic. And you never think anything like that's gonna happen. But then like this happened, and now like people can get pretty nuts.
Right.
Like the toilet paper thing and all the other stuff. It's like, why are you panicking? It's. I think it's warranted because we didn't know.
It's very scary, yeah.
But like toilet paper, like come on, like what the hell?
Well, you think
just
about
walk around with a dirty ass.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Or use your hand, right? Yeah. I think that's customary in the Muslim countries.
Well, when I went to Tokyo, right? They have the toilet seats.
Bidets?
Yeah, it's not like
good? Do you like it?
Yeah, it was nice. You feel fresh. It's not like the bidets in France, where there's like the toilet and then there's the other bidet next to it.
Bidet, yeah.
It's a toilet seat that you plug in. It's electric. It's heated. So when the hotel I stayed at, right when you walk in, it starts heating up, and then it has a little like control on the side, and you spray, and when you're ready to spray, it dries you when you're ready to dry, and rocking and rolling.
It's like a little baby, right? Getting your bum cleaned.
I had a little pep in my step after that. I felt fresh.
A little hippity hop. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So, but you also mentioned real estate. So how's that going?
It's going really well. Like, I'm a mobile notary right now. But I've had my real estate license for the last 6 months. But I previously had in 2005 before the crash. So. Being part of commercial realm.
Okay. So it's commercial, not residential.
It's both commercial and residential.
So I seen the residential price of a home in Escondido was $598,000, I believe, or something like that.
The average price?
Yeah. That's why we have cars on the street in front of every house.
Right.
You got to pay that mortgage.
It's multiple units.
Yeah.
I think Escondido so San Diego has given the some permit fees for ADU, which is like a granny flat. I think Escondido still has those permit fees, but we're trying to work on getting access to that, because that's the future of tomorrow, is multiple people living in the same home, multiple family homes. It's just so hard to live in California.
Yeah, like when I went to Tokyo again, like one of the most populated city in the world. But it worked there, like people everywhere, but everyone was super like respectful. Everything was clean. And, and it's just a different type of living, and they're used to it. We're not used to it. We're used to our big yard and green grass. And
I think we talked about this before about, the gentrification of Escondido, and how people perceive it as always a bad thing, when it's not always a bad thing. It actually helps a community. It cleans a community. It rids of crime. There's too many benefits to say that there's a negative aspect. Yeah, it sucks. It's going to go, your rent's going to go up and that kind of aspect. But at the same time, it offers more jobs. There's just so much positive that's more than the negative. I think you have to weigh those things.
Yeah, that's something I get in arguments with a lot of my friends, because they're totally like, oh,
Latinos, I live in the hood or whatever.
And I totally understand, because I wouldn't want my grandma kicked out of a house she rented forever.
Absolutely.
So I totally get it. But at the same time, the same streets that you're claiming, that you represent or whatever, like own it.
Yeah,
if you own it, then there's more credence to you repping, your block or whatever.
Absolutely.
And I know it's difficult and all that, but it's still possible. And that, I have a leg up because, my mom and dad, they were able to buy, and they, taught me and all that stuff. So like, I get it. But now, we can start educating each other and be like, look, as a good investment, buy some property. I know it's difficult, but figure out a way. I mean, you can do it. I did it. Other people did it. We can figure it out.
Right.
It may be difficult, but it's possible.
I think that's why I like real estate so much, because I'm actually helping people, and it's not a job to me. It's actually part of life. It's because you're giving back.
You're making people happy.
Oh, absolutely. Cool. Whether it's buying a business, a restaurant, a income stream, a multi-unit place, or even their first home. Like, it really is important, because it makes an impact for a long time. It's the biggest purchase you'll ever make, but it also lasts your entire life.
Yeah, and that goes back to the gentrification thing, where some businesses start moving in, property values start rising.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when owners raise the rent. And so, because there's more value in that property.
Yes. I did have some issues with the prior council, like Sam Abed, and there's a couple other.
I thought that was your boy.
Nah, come on, that guy's ridiculous. He's great as what he did for the community, because we actually got a lot of growth out of Escondido. His demeanor is different. It's how he is. I think it has to do with his culture. But regardless, I was upset that all these projects that have come in were all rental units. They weren't purchased. They weren't for sale.
So that's my big gripe too. So I'm totally against like foreign investors buying American real estate, because all they're going to do is price out citizens from owning, raise the the price of anything. And home ownership is something I think everyone should
try to obtain. Should, yeah.
But when you have foreign investors that have countless funds or whatever, like pouring money, it's kind of you can't beat it.
You're right. You can't.
It's
rough. Hard to stop it too. And so that's where
you tax them.
Yeah. But then you tax everybody. The thing, I think that's the most complicated part of it is, I'll tell you, for us, I'm part of the Downtown Business Association. I was the chairman of the Mercado. But for us, we wanted to build a community. We wanted a downtown. We wanted a happening, thriving, with nightlife and coffee shops and, meat market type of things, like seafood market. We want the vibe. Well, you can't do that first if there's no people to be here. Yeah. And so a lot of this housing is tremendously helping that a lot. There are people that, live on East Valley. They lived in the city 40 years. They said, there's no way in hell I'm going to get in one of those places. I can't afford it. That's ridiculous. And I hate to say it, but it's not for you, miss, and on East Valley. It's for a new community, a new identity set, even for Escondido. Our population has been so stagnant for so many years that we had no growth. There was nobody coming here, nobody doing anything. Businesses are leaving. We can go back in the 90s, but when the mall was built, that changed a lot of things too. But it's just, we have been stagnant for so many years that this growth is so good for us. It does suck that prices are so high, but it's kind of...
Do you think it's because there was that environment or mentality of trying to keep Escondido small?
Yes, absolutely.
Because, and it made it difficult for businesses to enter or for developments to, happen because there was no incentive, right?
I'll tell you the truth. We've had 14 restaurants in Escondido. My dad's first restaurant, 1982, Raymond Cafe.
That's cool.
Yeah. Used to be A&W Root Beer.
Oh, wow.
On Washington. And that was like 82, I think. We had it till like 86. Then we had JK's, we had Dante's, Raymond A's Roasted Chicken on 13th.
That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't know that. All I knew was Fireside.
Yeah, Fireside. Yeah. Ray's Giant Pizza, Jalapeno Grill, and we have Tapatia now.
Speaking of Fireside, I mean, look at now the Rite Aid, right? It's closed down. Right. Like, what's going on with that? Like,
well, that was the corner where the Elks Lodge was, actually.
The Elks Lodge?
And it was funny because my grandpa and Uncle Mark would go in there, and I'd have to go run from the Fireside. Hey, come on, Grandpa, you gotta go.
That's cool.
Yeah,
there's good memories, right?
See, that's part of the community too. Is that that's kind of a weird hood area.
Yeah.
But I think there's...
Well, you have 2 developments right there, right? No, 3.
Yeah,
right?
and they're very nice. Latitude 33.
Why in the hell is California Motel still there?
So I'll tell you, because I know the guy's an older Asian man, and they try to give him so much money, and he wouldn't take it. It's paid for. He's got it made. He makes money all day, and I'll tell you the truth is that also limits growth. Is these old owners, and so it gets kind of complicated because Escondido downtown. There's so many empty stores for a long time, but these owners have been waiting for this big boom to happen so they can get top dollar.
Well, now that we live, right here, we're able to ride our bikes right there and do all that. And it's fun. Like, we go to Sullivan's, we visit the other restaurants and stuff like that. Yeah. We order Burger Bench like crazy because it's so good.
Oh, super good. Dude, that Miko Sushi is probably my favorite.
We haven't been there yet.
Oh, it's super good. There's great places on Grand
So it's awesome. And it's great to see that they open outdoor seating and they're still operating. Right. You know what I mean? So
one of the things that we talked about a couple of years ago in the Downtown Business Association and even Chamber of Commerce areas, where we discussed, maybe these people that are down on Grand Avenue should maybe get an extra tax. If you're empty, you're ruining our environment that we're trying to create. And
so not to cut you off, but I always wonder what some businesses, right? Not to talk trash on them or anything, but like, how do they operate? Because the
vacuum store?
The vacuum store,
because
exactly.
It's been there for 50, 60 years. So the owner, I'm sure the property's paid off, blah, blah, blah.
It's cool. So, it's pretty nostalgic, but like, you know what? Like, there's no vibrancy there.
Well, that Drapers and Damon's, the owner of that did extraordinary job. Like, they made it into like a wedding venue place where you could go.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, they're going to do a wedding venue there, but I think they started their storefront to like sell like tablecloth, like a rental company or maybe some design company, something of the sort. But Drapers and Damon's has been there that's an old women's clothing store, but it's coming along. We got a lot of growth still happening. So
the pour your own beer place never opened, right?
They will. Barrel Republic. Yeah.
Yeah. It sucks because it's what happened, right?
Yeah. So it's held them back, but man, that's going to be one awesome place because it's actually going to bring people to our community, which it adds to it. One thing that I was really upset back in the past was, the Catholic churches right now was prior to that coming in, Old Spaghetti Factory wanted to go in that corner and the city was no to franchises. They're like, no, we don't want you there. But Spaghetti Factory would have drawn so many people to Grand and what's have you. So anyways, I had my upsets about that, but then I really didn't think, why would a school fit in there when we're trying to do it downtown? But I'll tell you what, I'll say I was wrong because it put feet on the ground every day. These kids are going to lunch. It's a high-end school too. Yeah. It's a videography college. And I think it's awesome because there's people always walking around. There's they bought that old Escondido Bank building, which is awesome. Yeah. And they kept the beautification of
Now, what about the new building on the corner by 7-Eleven? That's also a church, right? It used to be Love's Insurance.
So the interesting Ritz, it was called the Ritz Theater. Yeah, Love's the insurance place. The interesting thing about that is that theater has been closed for 30 years. So there's nobody that could come in there. It's condemned pretty much. And they couldn't open because of the flooring, because of this, that. And the amount they paid for the place and the amount that they put into the place, there's no other business that could succeed besides probably a church.
Because people give generously to their church.
They do. And it's also, they don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the cool, what's it called? Excuse me. That church, though, has given a lot of the city other aspects, saying we're going to do a coffee shop, or we're going to let the city have access to certain parts of the church. So they're really community oriented. They want to be part of the community. They're helping. I think it's going to be, I don't know, everybody's in the park, but then you think about it, nobody's downtown on Sunday morning. So it's going to be fascinating because you drive by it. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
You're like, wow.
I mean, compared to what it was, it's totally a new building.
It's insane. Yeah, it's definitely a new building.
It's cool. And then the way they blocked off, they made it a single lane, right? And then they have the seating out, and no, they have parking in what used to be one of the two lanes going each way on Grand, right? Then everyone's sitting like on the sidewalks and stuff like that. Like, how much did it take for them to get that approved by the city, or how does that work?
Oh, so you're talking about because of the COVID? So all the
to me, I think that's great because it's like it reduces traffic because people won't go down there because they know it's a single lane,
right?
And
so
it's more walkable,
right? Absolutely.
To me, I love it because it reminds me of
it's drivable too, because you're slow driving. You're not going as fast as we used to. So the thing is, we've been having meetings with the city, with DBA, different organizations, people that live in the community, Escondido Historical Society. We've talked about this for many, many years. And our goal is to do that, exactly this. I don't know if you've been to like Bird Rock in La Jolla.
Yeah.
So you know how they have those like roundabouts? Mm-hmm. That's pretty much our goal here, because you could get to the same place without stopping every time and it going slower. And it's more flowing. It's better traffic. And also our goal is to do diagonal parking. And so we're going to add over 100 new parking spaces by going diagonal. Mm-hmm. There's going to be inlets, even with the patio seating, we want to have different areas where there are patio seating, maybe not specifically just for that restaurant. Maybe they could half it, or, there's just a lot of different solutions to it. But, so we actually got a grant through Sandag, and I think it's a couple $1 million. We put it in for $5 million and we end up getting half or something. So it's in the works. So this was a good trial period. We actually learned a lot from it, and how much people liked it.
I love it. It reminds me of I'd say Vegas because that's what I know. But European cities or other countries, it's a major. A lot of their dining is done outdoors.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's everywhere now. This with people having to dine outside, they're like, man, this is awesome.
Nice.
This is nice. So. There's a lot of good things happening. Like I said, it's a good trial period for us because we saw what it does. Some people wanted us to be, I don't know if you've been to Denver on 16th Street, they close it all off and they have nothing there. And there's been a lot of suggestions of that, but our businesses aren't that busy. We don't have enough walkability. Well, maybe eventually in 10, 15 years we could do that, but it's just not possible right now.
They're supposed to do that to Gaslamp, right on 5th, where it's sort of like the promenade in Santa Monica,
right?
Where it's just foot traffic, which would be cool. But
it'd be cool.
But you're right, like downtown San Diego, they can pull that off. Because
of course,
restaurants,
galore,
yeah. So it'd be nice,
it'd be real nice.
But, I've seen the change a lot because Grand before used to be really nothing. And now there's a few spots. And then from Jacked Up all the way at the end of Grand.
Right. They're doing pretty good over there. I was driving by. They had a big old band over there. I was hopping.
They've been rocking and rolling.
Yeah, it seemed fun. I was
And then Little Miss Brewing opened up on Calmia.
Great beer. Yeah. I'm telling you, if you haven't had their beers are delicious.
Well, I used to, I not used to, but I've been to their one in Normal Heights.
But I'll tell you what, they're not very good on design because it looks like they just got a bucket of paint and threw it on the walls. I'm like, what is this crap?
Well, the one in, I don't know if they have it here, but the one in Normal Heights, they have $20 on Friday.
Yeah, they have it here too.
$20 all you can drink.
So you know what's interesting? The only reason I went to the restroom there one time
because they have all the.
But they have like 5 of them, I think. But every place is a different country. Like this one's Russian aspect, and then there's Japan. There's an English one. That's England. Cool. Yeah, so it is pretty neat.
Have you ever been to a totally off topic? But have you ever been to a vegan restaurant?
I have not. I'm not a huge vegan.
Okay.
We've gone to a lot of steakhouses.
So
it's very hard.
There's this one in South Park called, is it Kraken? Kraken? I believe it's Kraken. It's
like
badass.
Kraken, like
it's more for
like the bar in Cardiff, like Kraken.
It's similar to like it's a bar, but they have like the only food they serve is like vegan. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I don't know why I brought it up.
That's okay.
Maybe it had to do with like the different
eating
styles.
Healthy. Yeah.
Well, their theme is like heavy metal,
right?
So it's all themed heavy metal.
I'd go there.
Yeah. See,
I'm not against vegans at all.
It's next to Hamilton's. You know Hamilton's in South Park?
No.
Oh man, I thought you were cultured.
I was in North Park for quite a few years. Like I used to hang out there a lot, but I got to South Park a couple times, but I didn't go that much. But South Park is a rad place.
So those vibes, like North Park, South Park, Normal Heights,
right?
Like, that's cool. Like to me, I enjoy that.
So, but we can't. The thing is, people want us to be that. We can't. We're different.
Well, it's too crowded there.
It's too crowded. Yeah.
Way too crowded.
But it is hard to get somebody else's vibe. We can't be Carlsbad vibe. That's Carlsbad.
Yeah.
Oceanside is different than Carlsbad. Yeah. We're a different place. We need to make our own identity.
Yeah.
And
what do you think would accomplish that?
It's like any place. It's a destination. It's a place you want to go. Like, do you ever hear people go, I want to go hang out in Escondido? No, but we always say, hey, let's go to Carlsbad, or let's go to Oceanside, or let's go to North Park, South Park, University. Like we say downtown, we say so many places, but we don't say come to Escondido. And I think if you created a new identity, I think that's one of the issues that I have with the city is that there's no marketing department. So there's no real people selling it. As a real estate agent, I want to sell it all day. I want to say this is a wonderful city. People always rush to say the schools are shitty or this or that. And it's that negativity has to stop at some point. You got to go, hey, why don't you be positive for 5 minutes? Stop being so negative.
Well, it's so easy to be negative.
Oh, of course, because you don't have to do anything. Because you don't have to do anything. You don't. I think the worst thing about the negativity is that you could say something's wrong, but how are you going to fix it, or a solution, or what you're going to have to do? Our mayor here, our new mayor, Paul Mack, he's trying, and obviously he's not perfect, but he made all these committees on this homeless advisory committee, this education committee, arts committee. Like he made all these committees for the community to be involved in how the city spends its money and what we put it towards. So
yeah, I think when you're dealing with humans, especially a city of 150,000 or something,
155.
Like it's super. Like we wish we could make things change, but it's so difficult because everyone has a different idea to accomplish, what ultimately we all have the same goal, right? We all want to live good lives. We want to live in a good city and a good society. But then, everyone has different ways of accomplishing that.
Right.
So as long as there's incremental progress, like that's cool.
I think the thing that sucks is people realize that money runs the world, and you can't just make this homeless facility or make this, interfaith. They get so many donations, and they're run by donations. It's not state funded. So Solutions for Change, Interfaith might be state funded, but they mostly run on donations because, Solutions for Change is a really good, project that they have over there. So we have a lot of resources, but, they're out there. So people have to know that.
Yeah. Too. And I think it's difficult. Like that's not the only issue, right?
Right.
Like, and every city's dealing with some sort of form of that issue, but there's other issues. There's debt, there's, economic, issues, the politics, that include like the police and all that stuff.
I think things will change as different people move in. And I don't want to say it's pushing people out or anything, But, people ask, why don't we have a Nordstrom Rack right here, or a Target, or this or that? Why do we have Bob's Furniture? And, my answer is because why do we have so many 99-cent stores? Because we're a city of necessity. We need things. We're not Forest Ranch. We're not Penasquitas. We don't have that disposable income.
Discretionary funds.
Yeah, we don't have that. So we're not going to all of a sudden get it. That's just not part of our community. And so the reason we have these things, even the car wash things, it makes me mad because people get so mad about car washes. You're not allowed to wash your car in front of your house. Well, where are you going to wash it at? At the car wash. So,
well, I feel bad because that car wash on South Center City, they built that. They put so much money, but I've never seen anybody using that car wash.
Yeah, I just went there the other day, first time.
Did you? Yeah.
It's getting busy. It looks busy, but...
that's cool. Well, he
didn't open I think there's a restaurant supposed to be in there, and he never opened it.
Oh, okay.
There's take your camera over there. There's some cool dinosaurs over there,
Where?
In that parking lot.
Oh, in the parking lot?
They have big metal dinosaurs or something.
See, that's cool. That's people trying, right? I don't know the story, but at least, trying to bring something to the city.
Yeah.
But what's the issue with the car washes?
No, they just get mad. But that's another thing. So ups and downs is gone,
Yeah.
Family Fun Center is gone. A lot of the bowling alley is gone. We lost a lot of
the skating rink too, or
skating rinks.
The ice rink.
Well, it looks like it might come back. So they closed, but
I don't know how they made money in the first place. How many people are ice skating?
I was 18 and I wanted to work. All I want to do is drive the Zamboni. So I worked for a year and a half.
Because of Billy, Billy Madison?
I think so. Yeah,
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. So I worked there for a year and a half. I drove the Zamboni and I quit. That's all I wanted to do.
A year and a half? You're like, it took you a year and a half to decide, no.
Dude, the first day I showed up, and I'm a rollerblader, I grew up rollerblading, we had our little Esco zoo crew. Mm-hmm. And I thought I got a job at this ice skating rink, and I thought I could ice skate. No problem. First day, people are falling. We had to end the session early because there's blood all over the damn. Then I could pull out the Zamboni.
You have to sign waivers.
I'm all holding the side, trying not to fall. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, that's so that
was a good job.
Well, back to that, it's okay. There's no recreational.
So that's the thing with youth activity, right? So yeah. I went to this meeting recently. John Masson, rest in peace. He was on city council. He ended up passing away, but his big thing was over there on Washington to build this skate park, not necessarily a skate park. I think it's called a skate zone. It's just in the corner of the park. And I went to 2 or 3 meetings, the development of it and the guys that made it. And it was pretty awesome because, a lot of those, I think the coolest part about it was that, sometimes even us, we lived here a long time. We think that this is only a Mexican part of the city, or there was a lot of young black kids, young white kids, young Mexican kids. And it was so cool to see that diversity and not the segregation that sometimes we put ourselves into, I'm Mexican. I want to live in a Mexican community. If you're black, you want to live in and you almost segregate yourself sometimes. It's just how humans are. And so there's nothing to take. There's a lot to take away from it. You also have to be inclusive. And when we were talking about earlier about culture, dude, you should always keep your culture, but that doesn't mean that should keep you away from everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that again is keeping yourself ignorant, right?
Right.
You can learn so much from other people.
Oh, absolutely. Regardless
of where they came from, regardless of what they look like, regardless of their cultural, background.
Right.
But that's something I think that is an investment in the future, right? Because you get the city giving somewhere where the youth can spend their time.
So that was one of the things I wanted to say is that it's the city's job, but it's not the city's job, but it is the city's job. So
it'll cost money later with police, with prosecution, cleaning up graffitis, all that other bad shit that comes out.
And it was kind of cool because we were talking to all these kids that were part of the process of they wanted, this half pipe thing built or whatever. I'm not a big skater, but they started saying things. And one of the message that a lot of them were saying was that if you see guys doing graffiti, tell them, no, don't do that. You got to take care of your hood, take care of your spot. This is your skate spot. You want to keep it you want to keep that bad influence away. Like you were saying. The other thing I wanted to say is that the reason that Family Fun Center is not there no more, the reason that the bowling alley, the reason the skating rink is, again, that a lot of our youth don't have money to do those types of things. And as a business coming in, how do you create something where a person goes, okay, I can do that. You got to make money. It's part of life. Every business is doing business to make money. Well, if the city incentivizes it and gets a business owner of, a miniature golf place or something that we can get back to the community, because I think our youth are just dying. They're not doing well right now. There's not, especially now with COVID.
Yeah.
They can't even get in their sports and that kind of stuff. But I remember when we were kids, man, we'd go around playing Pogs.
Yeah.
They called me Pog Man.
Pog Man. Yeah. I had a tube. I had a long, big ass tube. We used to go to Placo there on West Valley Parkway.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then Placo moved to like where Harbor Freight is now. And then Placo was on Grand too.
On Grand on the corner.
Yeah, on the corner.
But yeah, I had a belt with all my Pogs, and I'd go to every corner. And then the cops started coming because it was gambling, And so they got to stop. I had so many Pogs, like I was going to get beat up for Pogs.
Yeah, slammers. And
slammers, double whammies. Yeah.
But that was cool. Like it was fun. It was innocent fun, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of kids are stuck in their computer and
the tablets, iPads.
And the thing is, it's not. We have to adapt. We're evolving people, no matter what. So you can't say just take the tablet away. Well, maybe give them certain hours or this. But if you get some educational purpose out of it, then what's bad about it?
Yeah, and I forgot who I was discussing this with, but the kids, they just want to be on their iPads, which isn't bad because they need to learn those skills for when they're adults.
Absolutely.
Because who knows where we're going to be at that point.
Yeah.
Even if it's for fun, it's them learning how to do all that stuff, and then developing further. And then hopefully the parents are there guiding them like, okay, well, for a certain amount of time, you can do this. In a certain amount of time, you got to do this, and it's a learning app or some sort of thing. Because if not, then it's like any other obsessiveness, or it's another vice, another issue like alcoholism. It's too much drinking. Like you can have a beer and you're cool.
Yeah, right.
But you drink too many beers, then you have a problem. Absolutely. Like constantly, or if you gamble, right? You gamble, once a month or once every.
It's different, yeah.
But if you're gambling every day, then you have an issue. It's the same thing with technology. If you're constantly on it and it's just like you're brain dead, and then so like video games too, right? Like, 1 or 2 or 10 kids are earning money off of it, but that's out of how many million people?
Yeah. I think education is extremely important. I didn't have the opportunity to go to college, because my dad kind of wanted me to stay in the restaurant business, and so I was going to go to a couple places. I tried to go to Pepperdine. I was going to go to Abilene Christian University. And I ended up not going. And I have said things before, and I say, you don't need college. It's college. You don't need college. You can be successful without it. However, education is very important. So,
those are two separate things.
Right.
College and education. So you can be educated.
They are.
By working, like you in the restaurant industry for pretty much your whole working life.
Yeah.
Like that's invaluable.
And there's a lot of experience.
Yeah.
That's another thing. But like my college and truthfully, education, I read every day. I go to the Barnes and Noble, or now we have everything offered online as far as masterclass. Mm-hmm. Have you seen some of those master classes? Mm-hmm. Dude, some of them, you should check it out. They're pretty impressive. Like, I think Steve Martin does a comedy one, or Ramsey does a cooking class, and like it's pretty fascinating. They're legit, but there's just so much information out there that there's you should never stop learning. Yeah,
and so so one thing I do for self growth and trying to better myself is, so I have an hour commute, right? I have an hour going, an hour coming back. Yeah. So in that time, I'm either listening to podcasts, I'm listening to an audiobook, and then I throw in music every now and then. It just gets like the same thing, you know what I mean? But when you're listening to something that you're learning, you get interested and you start developing, in your brain, and however you can do that, I think it's really important. Because
it's another neat thing, and you're 100% on the same point I'm talking about. But I've said, I already read that book, so I don't need to read it again. Well, I just started rereading books, and I'm like, oh man, I missed that part. Or you get more information sometimes from something that. Because even like podcasts, it's very passive, right? Like you don't necessarily have to listen to every word. Yeah. But then sometimes you'll get in a conversation, or you'll being a listener, and you go, wow, that's cool, man. Or, it keeps you intrigued. And, there's one thing I read in a book about podcasts and about content. And this guy's pretty much that I hate the word content because you can literally talk about anything. It's just, it's about the characters of who's talking, what they're talking about, what do they know, experience. I mean, Joe Rogan, man. Look how phenomenal that guy is.
Yeah.
You just got drawn to the...
You know, I think... So I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast probably the most. And part of what I enjoy is he has different people on there. It's not like, oh, the podcast is about this. And
Bernie Sanders, bro. That was crazy.
So, you know, and he doesn't label himself. He doesn't stick to anything, which is cool because that's how normal people are, right?
Oh,
they can be pro-choice and they can be Second Amendment. You don't have to be all one team or all the other.
Right.
You can think however you want, and which is pretty cool. But at the same time, he has people from opposing views, and you can learn. Like you're learning. Okay, why do they think that? This is why, and it's cool because you learn. You know whether it's one
if you
way
let
or
yourself
another.
learn.
Yeah,
you know
well, you have to be open to it.
You have to be open. You can't be no.
Yeah, well, hard-headed. Like, think you know everything, which I think it boils down to just being like real, right? It's real.
Totally.
It's not fake. It's not trying to sell anything. It's sort of like what I model this off of, right? I just want to hear people's stories, share it with everyone so they can enjoy. I mean, how many times do we, like our culture, like we just drink and drive away, and that's what I tell Bean. I said, dude, like, what do you talk about every goddamn day? Every day you're drinking, like at my brother's, and you see the same people, and you still have shit to say to each other. Right? I think it's cool, right? That just proves that it's never ending.
Did Bean tell you about his tortilla festival? No. He wants to do this tortilla festival. I'm trying to do a Michelada festival.
Oh, well, so you know the Michelada Rumble,
right?
So that guy that does it is a good friend of mine's, good friend. So that's why, like, I get involved with it.
Oh, cool.
And
well, help me put it together. I'm looking right. Heritage Park is city owned. So that little park right there.
Where's Heritage Park?
It's the gazebo on Grand Avenue.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is, I saw this, the art studio across the street, Art Hatch.
Uh-huh.
They had an event there. They had wine and beer thing, and they put a little fence around it, and they had, a group of people. It was awesome. Yeah. I was like, that's so cool. Like, I'm doing a Michelada festival there. And, to rent the place out costs $70 or something. Permit fees. Yeah. So we don't have to rent a big building. City, whether the DBA's involved or us or whatever.
What's cool. So what's cool is there's a lot of Michelada companies that are small and they just want to get out there. And how difficult is it to just arrange everyone in a booth?
Not very hard.
And then the way they did it is there's a single entity. I don't know if it was him or somebody else that had the liquor license where they were able to sell. So you would buy a ticket, you go get your Michelada mix, and then you would go get the beer.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about, because a lot of them, they're not going to have a liquor license or the ability to sell beer. So it's possible, and it's fun, and people dig it.
You could have any type of music there. Like literally, you could have a rapper, you could have a banda, you could have. I'm just saying, it's so culturally Mexicano, Chicano, Latino, like lowriders out front, all about the lowrider. Viejitos all day, we still listen to your CD all the time. Me and my brother.
Andre, sometimes he sends me a video through Instagram. He's like,
we put it on all the time.
Dude, that's like 10 years old.
I love it, though. That's so good. You did a good job. You need to make another one.
That was prior.
Coming out. Second coming out.
That's why I told my chick, I said, I can do some songs again. Because we have all the equipment. Like, it's pretty legit. Like, it sounds good. So I'm like, I'll just start my rap career again.
Why not?
The one that lasted one day.
That was fun.
But believe it or not, like, I put songs from that album, like, now, like, on iTunes and Spotify and stuff like that. So it's cool that people before couldn't have that platform. Yeah. And so there's so much music out there.
So much.
So they can actually get paid for their talent, get paid for their art, and just having it out there in the talent. Like I get like a penny or two. Like it's really nothing. But still it's pretty interesting.
Still cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's cool because like, with us, with the vinyl records and all that, a lot of those people, like, they were poor and they were just making music, and now their families or whoever owns their music can get it out to the public and people can enjoy it.
Yeah, because sometimes you run out of CDs, bro.
I don't even know if I have any of those anymore. But yeah, it was fun. I was bored.
Yeah.
It was during my board years.
Did you see that? It's funny with kids today, and I love joking, but even CDs, like they don't even know what a CD is.
Yeah.
But did you see that one where they said, how do you answer the phone? You know, so if I said, how do you answer the phone? You'd go like this, right?
I go, what's up?
Like,
what's up, Ray?
Hey,
This is caller ID.
Get on the way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, ask a 10-year-old and they'll go like this. What are you doing?
They're holding the phone.
Like we do this because we used to have a phone.
Yeah.
They do this because they have their cell phone.
So my earliest memory or my first experience of caller ID was at Juan Johnson's house in Pepperwood.
Oh, really?
And they had it hooked up. I'm like, what the hell? You can see who's calling you? Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, you didn't have to answer. Like, if you didn't want to answer,
right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, that was cool. But it's weird, right? Because the kids have no experience, no knowledge that ever occurred.
Right.
You know, and it kind of makes me think that like what went down in the 70s and 80s that we were like, whoa, what the hell? Like 8 tracks or something like that.
I think it's, I know it's stuff comes back. You know how everyone's buying vinyl again.
Yeah.
You know, they're going back to their vinyl players, which is gnarly because it's such a look.
I think it's justified though, because the sound on like a legit analog system with the vinyl, it sounds so much better than an MP3 because they're all compressed and they're all you know,
you can tell.
But it's super expensive now, man. That's why I wish people. It's like living in California. Like just it's not cool. Don't do it. Don't come here. Don't buy the records. It's not cool.
Right?
No, it's cool that everyone enjoys the music because. Right. Yeah. So what's next for you? What's up this year? Because I know you got what, 2 years, a year and a half?
2 years from today. So yeah, 2 years.
Okay.
I actually.
Well, you just ruined your chances today.
Why? No way.
Yeah,
no.
Just kidding.
I can talk my way out of anything. No, just kidding. You know, you should be held accountable for the things you say, but you should also be able to defend them.
Be human.
Yeah.
Right. Too. And like you, it's okay to hold different viewpoints or whatever.
You're allowed to change them too. You don't have to have the same view your entire life.
Yeah,
you know?
That's one thing too that really like disappoints me a lot with the way people view politicians. It's like they grew, right? Like they can change your mind. Like I changed my mind. Like you know, a good example is like gay marriage, right? In the 90s, like nobody was for it, and then now everyone's cool with it. Like
conservatives and Democrats.
Yeah, so
it's not even
it's cool. Like you know, some people took a long time to get
there,
comfortable with it, but at least we're there, you know, and people can move forward from there. And it's the same thing with other topics as well. So
there's a lot of topics.
So you got to
hopefully you have me back one of these days.
No, you know, so this is number 10. I'm getting better as they occur. I'm getting the cameras are super legit now. The mics are getting there. I had a sound issue for the last 9, but it sounds like it's going to work out.
Yeah.
And then I need to fill up this wall. We got some art coming. We ordered some art from this artist in Oaxaca. So there's some big original paintings coming that are gonna look nice. So,
that's real nice.
Yeah, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. Like I enjoy this. Like to me, I had a long day at work. I had a long week. And, you know, to come here, like I was excited to come here and set up and get you in here. And,
I was a little nervous, but
it's, you know, it is nerve wracking. Like the first one too, like I was like, oh, like what do I look like? Or like, oh, I gotta like, but you just gotta relax. And then this kind of helps too. Like you get a little calm and cause it's totally not natural, right? Like we got headphones on, we got the mic in front of
I mean, it's natural for me to talk cause I talk a lot. I'm actually a better listener now though.
Cut the mic. I'm a better listener.
I'm trying to be a better listener. And the thing is, by listening, I'm learning more. So I actually can develop a better opinion, regardless of the subject matter. It's about others' opinions because it's kind of like you were talking about earlier. Like there's so many people have an opinion. And so I think you pick people's opinions who have done something that can make you say their opinion matters. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're telling, you know, if there's just a regular customer saying, you know, your tacos suck or something, which happens, it's part of life. Don't get me wrong. You listen to that. But if it's Gordon Ramsay coming over saying your tacos suck, well, then his opinion does have more value. And so, not that no opinions matter. It's just that there's value of opinions. And, also, like, what's the goal of your opinion? Are you saying something to change something? Or, like the police issue we have, truthfully, we're a different type of community in Escondido, and we don't have that much police, aggregation, or we don't have the things that a lot of other communities. The country's huge. So there's a lot of cities that have a lot of things. Our city doesn't deal with it on that level. Of course, we have problems with here and there and gang violence and blah, 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 but we don't have what other cities have. So I think there's just a lot less people try to create this drama that's not there. And sometimes it kind of upsets me being from here for so many generations, having, family from different sides, from growing up gangbangers and different lifestyles, and from the west side or, the east side or whatever. And so, it's part of our culture, it's part of who we are. But at the same time, like, it upsets me when people try to push their agenda when maybe it shouldn't be.
Yeah. And see, I think what makes it extremely difficult now is with the internet and social media, like, anybody has a platform to express themselves, and it could be warranted and it can't be warranted, or it could be warranted, but it could be a single incident and not widespread. And so that single incident,
right, yeah.
Can create this illusion like it is widespread. And if it's something like horrendous, like George Floyd, obviously that's a different story, and the people involved should be held accountable.
Oh, absolutely.
And, and that's the thing, today, and with all these videos and all that stuff, you can easily record, but I understand the hesitation because you never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? The person getting pulled over doesn't know what's going to happen. The police officer approaching car doesn't know what happened. Yeah. So you're already like on your toes.
Right. So it's interesting about those video cameras too, though, like, because when they first came out, like, first of all, I agree with them. I agree with them.
The body cams?
I do. 100%. It gets a little weird because, I don't want them starting to put cameras on every corner of every street.
Like San Diego?
Yeah, because I'm just saying that, like, then you're being, that's, what's that, 1984? That's, what do they call it?
The Orwell? Or no,
George Orwell, yeah. 1984, Big Brother. Like, that gets a little weird to me. But the thing is, what happened was the ACLU wanted these cameras. They said, you need to have cameras. And I don't know why the police were hesitant. Because if you're a good cop, what are you going to do bad?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, anyways, and they started wearing them. Well, the problem was these guys would
go to the girlfriend's house.
No, they would. The criminal, whoever committed a crime, the criminal act, they ended up 99% always getting in trouble, losing their case because it's on camera. Like, you can't. Yeah. And so the ACL kind of got mad at that. And I don't know where they're at right now about that issue, but I think cameras are great.
I think it's good.
Protects everybody.
Whatever happened.
Right.
Whether it's true or not true, but whether the charge will go forward or they'll be found innocent, it don't matter. It's reality that happened. Yeah. That's the way it should happen, right?
That's exactly.
It shouldn't be like
exactly how you're seeing it.
It shouldn't be a overzealous prosecutor trying to rack up their numbers, and it shouldn't be a criminal that committed a crime trying to get away with it.
Right.
Like it just whatever it is, it is.
So since we're on the police issue, like I'm not for defunding police. I think if anything, we need to fund them more. I think that there needs to be a more, and I know a lot of police officers, and I have a few in my family, and I just think that it's the culture of police, and maybe some officers, but they're machismos. They have this strong culture about them. That's how they act. That's their vibe, and I don't want to say necessarily calm it down all the way because they do risk their lives at times, but. Every domestic violence issue, someone doesn't have to go to jail. Like, maybe let's have a safe place just to keep people apart. We're supposed to make sure that they're okay. So maybe have some type of social worker or psychiatrist to figure things out. Like, okay, are we done? Or because not every time you have to go to jail. And our jails are filled up because of stupid stuff like that, or even small drug things that are so minute that there's a lot of and. The racial issue, there's always going to be a racial issue, whether how much we fight it. It's just part of.
Yeah, and I think it's a human element, right?
Right.
Because I know a lot of Mexicans that are super racist.
Right. Yeah.
I know, every culture is racist in some way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's part of the.
But then every culture has their they're I guess it's more like prejudice, right? They're prejudging people. They're prejudging people that they're not have experience with, or they don't know knowledge of, or whatever it may be. But it's so as far as the police, I don't know how I don't know how it's been here in Escondido. I don't know. I've when I was in high school in the 90s, I did get pulled over 7 times in 1 month, which I thought was excessive.
Of course.
Because I fit the description. But I'm hoping
profiling.
Ever since then, I haven't gotten pulled over, or I have for like seatbelt or whatever, but not harassed.
Right.
So I don't know how it is now, but like as far as me, maybe it's my hybrid car that I drive or used to drive, but so I don't know, so I
think the thing is that as long as we keep the police departments, diverse, not a bunch of white cops and I don't mean it in any bad way, but you have to have diversity there in that environment, especially because you're dealing with diverse people.
Yeah.
Also. So, if you're diverse, you're dealing with diverse, there's less tension of, you see people get pulled over and they're all pissed off at this white cop, and then there's, 2 Mexicans behind them. So then they calm down, or they have a different,
you know what I think might be beneficial, and this is me talking with no experience at all, or nothing to tell, but I think what happens is people have this idea that when they see a cop, just bad shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
So when they interact with a police officer, they're super nervous, they're clammy, they're just like, oh, they're going to ruin my life or whatever. I think if there was some familiarity between the police officer and the community that whatever their beat is, people will feel comfortable with them. Like, oh, he's just here to help us. Like there's criminals out there. There's real people that want to harm people or steal shit. Like, we need them to take care of that.
Well, that was interesting. I saw this one. I don't know if it was a TikTok or whatever. TikTok's going to be gone too pretty soon.
But there was Chinese.
There was this guy that went around, and he went to a lot of left wing liberal people. I guess obviously he was talking to them, and they said, we don't need police. And I think he was in Portland or something. He's like, we don't need police. And he interviewed like 5 or 6 people. They're like, police are bad. They do all this stuff. But then he went to poor black communities, and they're like, if there wasn't police, we wouldn't even be this would be pure chaos. Yeah. Like, we need police in our communities. I mean, obviously we need to figure out better policing.
See, I think that's part of the issue too, is you show the most far left and then you show the most far right, and you think everyone's either far left or far right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in reality, we need police, when shit's going down, but like
we said, we need a different type of policing too, there has to be limitation. There has to be something in the back of the police officer's head. Not always life say like he's going to die on every beat.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with police too, is that this animosity has gone back and forth. So it's getting worse and worse. And we need to maybe, I don't know, you got to change it, but it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Even with like the, gang violence and stuff. And I talked about this often, and I've said it before. Police won't do anything. Not enough of the youngsters respect police at all. So they don't care what the police says. They'll go to jail, all this stuff. The police are not part of them. However, if you have a veterano who comes out who just did 15-year stint or 20-year stint, and they tell these kids, and they tell them, like, this is the program called Mentors for Change, and they tell these kids, if you follow this life, you're going to end up in jail forever. I mean, I grew up with a lot of West Side boys, and a lot of them are dead in jail, there's only like a couple left from when I grew up. And, it's kind of sad because that gang life just took them away. Whereas it should have been a learning experience, and then you move on in life. And that's what I love about like Viejitos, your car club. Cause man, these kids find passion in cars. It's so rad because cars are, legit. Bro.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is, right? They need to find something they're passionate about, because then it's fun. Even though it's costs money, it takes a lot of time, it's a lot of work. You still do it because you're passionate about it, and that can go. And that's what kids need. They need to be exposed to different things so they can pick their passion. That's positive. You know what I mean? And if they don't have that, then they vent, or they they act out in a negative way, and then they're doing,
who knows what?
Yeah, or teen pregnancy and all that.
Yeah, that's a rough one too.
And so, if there's opportunity, and I was talking about this with somebody else prior to, is back then we only knew what we saw or experienced because that's all we knew. Now with the internet, I'm hoping that kids can see that there's more to life than just the community that we live in. Right. There's the opportunity to do other things, but unfortunately, I think a lot of the kids just see like the glitz and glamour of being a YouTuber or being Insta famous or all that. You know what I mean? And it could be depressing as well. So
because it's like being a professional athlete. How many of those kids actually make it? Like, I mean, you're talking like minimal. Like, I mean, it's interesting.
But what's cool though is there's people like you that are still interested in public service.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But being a public servant, because like we talked about when we first started, like it's difficult because you're gonna deal with shit.
Right.
From whether you're doing wrong, bad, right, you left, it just doesn't matter.
I think it's all about. I think it comes down to community, because the thing is, as a public servant, you don't just do it on your own. It's not just for you. It's to help the youth, to help the homeless, to help these people. And so when you get positive feedback of like, some youngsters, you did an event for the youth program, or you did this and that, then that feedback gives you more drive, and you go, that smile on your face, lasts longer than just that minute. It lasts for days,
Yep.
And when you can smile for days that you helped out someone and you changed their life, it's not that hard to change people's lives. But it's about people themselves. And I think when either it's children or grown adults, when they have this self-realization and they learn something from it, they can grow further, grow bigger. And
with that, Raymond Joseph Alto 2022?
Yeah, it looks like it.
What district?
I think District 1 and 4 coming out.
You better watch out, 1 and 4. I'm going to have to register to vote this time.
You never voted?
No, I vote. I've been voting since I was 18. I know, just like my credit. I knew at 18, I got to have good credit to buy a home, do all that. But like we were talking about earlier too, right? We need to teach these kids that. Like if you don't no matter what you think your opinion is of the way things are going, if you don't like it, vote. Correct. If you don't vote, don't complain because you weren't part of the civic process. Yeah. So, you might think it doesn't like your single vote doesn't matter.
I'll tell you what, in other countries, these people pride themselves on voting, because some other countries you can't vote for anybody. Yeah. They're in these dictatorships and you're run by your dictator.
By Castro.
But didn't you go to Cuba recently?
No, we were trying to, but your Theo Trump just said no Cuba because they're such a threat. Come on. They're not a threat.
They don't even have anything. Bunch of old cars, right?
But yeah, we were trying to, but they changed it, so they changed the port. But that was the intent of going to Cuba. But yeah, in the future, we'll be able to go. So
we'll do a podcast over there.
Yeah. And have some, Cuban tortas.
Ándale.
They just call them tortas over there. Though.
Oh, really? Horachas, or what is it?
Yeah. So, okay. Well, Ray, I thank you. I appreciate you. I love you as my.
I love you too, my cousin.
I love you like a cousin.
We are cousins.
Don't tell anybody that.
Primos hermanos.
Next time you come in, we'll talk about some more of that stuff. And
I got a lot of it. So
yeah, you do. We'll talk about Carlsbad too.
I like Carlsbad.
I remember you moved there, right?
I did.
For how long?
For about a year.
Yeah, I remember picking you up in the Impala. Right?
That was fun.
That was one time.
We went to Dini's, my favorite spot, and then we went to Mas Fina Cantina.
Yeah,
that was fun.
I still go to Mas Fina. Yeah,
I remember when what's his name sang there. That was Louis. Yeah, he's such a good singer.
Yeah, that's his hood right there. So he's comfortable.
He's still there.
No, he's in Vista, but that's where he grew up, right there in Carlsbad. So that's why I go to that spot, because he took me there. Yeah, it's like Carlsbad, like one of their dive bars.
Right, yeah.
So it's super chill, Right. It's not packed. Every time I go, there's parking. So that's why.
That's why you like it.
Yeah, nobody goes there. But I love it. I love it. Great. Yeah, so thank you for coming. I really do appreciate it. I want to have you back. And Raymond Joseph Alto, 2020.
Gracias.
Thank you. Cool. How was it?
It was good. I liked it. Of course. I get a little